What's up everyone, my name is Kelsey, welcome back to my channel. This is just like a random video that I didn't plan for at all. I think I'm just gonna do talk about some recent faves and some things I've been liking lately, what I'm currently reading, and maybe do the mid-year book freakout tag if I have time. I'm filming this on a Friday night for no reason because I got my hair done and it just looks so good. And I was like, I can't waste this opportunity. But look, this might just be a me thing. You know, it can't be. Otherwise, YouTube wouldn't do it, you know? And they give you these suggested videos on the homepage that just play when you stop on them. I get stuck on those salon makeover videos all the time where they get their hair done and then the salon dude is always like, you know what I'm talking about? Maybe this is only a me experience and no one is going to understand that, but that's how I feel right now. So I guess since this is a booktube channel, I should talk about the books I'm currently reading. So right now I'm still in the middle of Furyborn, which I talked about in my most recent vlog, which is really good and I really like it, but I had to put it on hold because of all the school reading I have to do. I literally don't have any time to dedicate to extracurricular reading right now, so that one's on hold. The class I'm taking is a young adult literature class though, so I am still reading books I like. They're just, part of the class. So I'm also reading A Blade So Black by L.L. McKinney for the fantasy portion of this class, and I'm really enjoying it. I am 108 pages into it. I have to finish it tomorrow to do a review for this class, so I'll definitely finish it tomorrow. I really like it. It's like a modern Alice in Wonderland retelling. I don't usually like retellings, but this is working for me. It's set in Atlanta and it follows the main character Alice, who's actually it's been described as Alice in Wonderland meets Buffy, and that's a pretty perfect description. So the main character Alice randomly one day stumbles upon this monster in the middle of Atlanta, and she can see the guy that kills it, and this guy decides to make her his next what are they called? Dreamwalkers. And Dreamwalkers can go into Wonderland and kill nightmares, which are manifestations of human fears that live in Wonderland, and try to come through into our world and kill people. So Alice is trained to kill those monsters before they can hurt anyone in the human world. First of all, I just think that's a really inventive take on the whole idea, and I really love Alice as a main character. She's funny and sarcastic. I know this isn't a thing that everyone likes, but when I'm reading contemporary urban fantasy or paranormal fantasy, I kind of like pop culture references. So this book has a good number of pop culture references, but it's not the same thing all the time. It's just little bits here and there. So there's been some references to memes, and the main character is into anime, so there's been some references to popular anime characters. I'm pretty sure there's a Sailor Moon reference. Pretty sure. Yeah, definitely, because she was gonna cosplay her or something, which is another awesome thing. Cosplay in a book. I did already have this book on my shelf before this class, so I would have read it eventually anyways, but I'm glad I had to pick it up for this class, because I don't know how long I would have put it off for, just because I'm hesitant about retellings. I feel like there was recently another retelling that I enjoyed. You know what? I don't remember. There are definitely retellings that I have not enjoyed. So maybe if I end up liking this book as a whole, I can focus on modern retellings instead of, because I didn't like Once and Future, I didn't like Guinevere's Deception, I didn't like, what else? I did kind of like A Curse So Dark and Lonely, but that was kind of a modern retelling. So maybe that's what I should stick with. If you have any recommendations for modern retellings, set in a contemporary world, let me know. I think that's it for the books I'm currently reading. Wait, maybe there was one more. Just going over to Goodreads. That's right, I'm also reading Juliet Takes a Breath by Gabby Rivera, and this is also for this class, but it's one I chose myself. I'm really enjoying it, but I am a little hesitant just because it's about, I think she's Puerto Rican. It's set in 2003, and it's about this Puerto Rican girl, Juliet, obviously, who gets an internship with this feminist writer, Harlow is her name, and she wrote a book called Raging Flower, and it's all about feminine power, goddesses, and embracing your feminine energy, etc. And I love Juliet, and I love her inner monologue and what she's thinking about being herself and being Puerto Rican and being Puerto Rican enough and also queer enough because she's a lesbian. She just come out to her family. So I love all of that, but I hate Harlow. Like, I hate her a lot. And I feel like, I have a feeling part of the book is Juliet's going to have to confront this sort of godlike status she's placed on Harlow as like an icon in her life, a hero, you know? And Harlow is not going to live up to her expectations in terms of like intersectionality, and I'm a little worried about gender inclusivity in this book. I mean, I have no doubt that I have a feeling Gabby Rivera is not going to let me down, because I've seen her speak on panels and stuff, and like I know she thinks about things like this, so I'm just interested to see how it comes up and how it's handled. Harlow just like seems like one of those, I don't know, crunchy granola hippies that like white women that have dreads and shit, you know? She gives me that vibe and I don't like her. Maybe I'm being a bitch, but okay. Other stuff I'm loving. I have been watching some TV lately. I am on season 3 of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, which I also kind of talked about in my vlog, but this is like a fairly recent CW show that's like a musical, but it's funny. It's like a dramedy. I don't know how to describe it, but it's about this main character who like lived in New York and was a lawyer, but she hated her life, and then one day she ran into a teenage boyfriend and she decided to move across the country to start again, but really it was because she wanted to chase this guy down, and it starts this like whole spiral in her life and she's obsessed with this guy. And the name of the show is Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, and they do a lot of fun things like playing with that trope, but also it's pretty true. And crazy is like an ableist derogatory term, but that's kind of the point. Like, they bring that up multiple times. She really, like, she's got problems. And season 3 is getting much darker than I expected. I really liked seasons 1 and 2, and I thought they were funny and like lighthearted enough that that topic was still working for me. But season 3 is getting like so dark that the only way that I could sincerely say I enjoy this season is if they end up taking it a little more seriously in the end, because right now I'm feeling really weird about it. Like, the main character is clearly very depressed and it has some like paranoid tendencies, and like I just don't know that there's a lighthearted way you could deal with shit like that, but we'll see. Honestly, the musical numbers are the best part. They're sarcastic and it's really fun to see like what they're inspired by. Like, if you know anything about popular music in the past and even today, really, there are like some very direct references to music videos and styles and musicals in general, and the lyrics are just funny. In the first season, there's a song that made me laugh so hard I cried, and it's called Girl Crush, and I'll link the video in the description, because like like I literally cried. It was so funny. I know that's the kind of show that's not going to be for everyone. Like, I was really hesitant until I saw the song Getting By with one of the characters from the show, Daryl Whitefeather, and it's all about him figuring out that he's bisexual and funny. I saw that song and I was like, well, I have to give the show a try now. And on the totally opposite end of the TV spectrum, I'm also watching Dark, which is a German sci-fi thriller, I guess. I'm watching the dub version. There's also a subtitle version if you prefer. I'm just not in the headspace for paying attention to subtitles right now. It's just not gonna happen. It's set in this small town in Germany, and like in the first episode, a kid goes missing, and like, I can't even, there's no synopsis that can do this justice. Suffice it to say, there's like some time traveling shit involved, and shit gets very, very complicated. There's a lot of like interpersonal family drama happening. People are sleeping with each other's husbands and having affairs and family history secrets. It's just like, there's a lot going on. Season 3 gets even crazier because we're like, there's so many characters, and all of the characters are intertwined so much because it's like a multi-generational story. So you're seeing people's parents and people's children and grandchildren, and it's just a lot to keep track of. I have a character map that I have to reference just to keep things straight, but it is very entertaining. Definitely look up content warnings though, because there's a lot of violence and there's self-harm and incest. Beware of that. I'm also watching, or rewatching really, The Umbrella Academy, because season 2 releases at the end of July. Very excited for it. I just really love The Umbrella Academy. Klaus is my favorite. Actually, that's a lie. 5 is my favorite. Klaus is my second favorite though. I say I'm rewatching Umbrella Academy, but really my boyfriend's rewatching Umbrella Academy and I am sort of seeing it at the same time. But that's fine. I remember most of the plot anyways. This was just like a nice refresher. I haven't watched a ton of movies lately, but I guess a couple weeks ago I did watch Knives Out, which I really liked. Like, it was really fun mystery. I just really enjoyed like the visual style of the filmmaking itself. Like, I don't know what to say about it other than that. I'm not like super into movies. I'm not a big movie person. TV is much more my thing, longer stories, you know. But I am going to watch The Old Guard now that everyone is raving about it. I'll have to see it, which is another, I think it's like a superhero movie. I know Charlize Theron is in it. I know there are gays. I don't know anything else. They're immortal, I think. That's all I got. I guess I'll do the mid-year book freakout tag. We're at 20 minutes. How long are people gonna watch this for? Okay, best book you've read so far this year. That's really hard. I'm looking at my like reading spreadsheet for the year. 4.5 and 5 stars. Let's see, I really love The City of Brass. I still haven't read the second book yet. Mexican Gothic was so good. That one's out now, so I'm finally seeing other people rave about it, which is great. Felix Ever After. Loved Felix Ever After. Like, I already did a whole video on that. I'll link it up above so you can watch it. It's, you know, it was just damn good. I don't know what it is about this year, but I have been loving contemporary, young adult contemporary. I don't know what's happening to me. I'm usually die hard for fantasy and I'll read contemporary, but they're like, eh. But this year, because I also gave This Is What It Feels Like by Rebecca Barrow 5 stars, and The Black Flamingo by Dean Addo 5 stars, Long Way Down and The Boy in the Black Suit by Jason Reynolds also both got 5 stars. It's just crazy. I want to look at my monthly stats. No, yearly stats. I want to see how many of these have been contemporary. 25% contemporary this year? This is too much. Damn, 25% contemporary. Okay, last book that I also loved. Favorite book. We have 12 favorite books here. The Extraordinaries by TJ Klune, which is also finally out now and other people are reading it and loving it, and I'm so excited to see that. It's just so good. It's like a superhero story about this teenager who's obsessed with the superhero in his town. He writes fan fiction, and his fan fiction is so cringe, but it's like also like a love letter to fan fiction, and the whole book is just packed with tropes, but it's like the reader is in on the joke and the main character Nick is not in on the joke. He's so oblivious and it's just so fun and so funny, and Nick is so embarrassing. Okay, next question. Best sequel you read so far this year? I haven't read a lot of sequels. I've read 2 sequels, so I'll just mention them both, I guess. One was Check Please Book 2, Sticks and Scones, and I loved it, 5 stars. And then I also read Sovereign by April Daniels, which is book 2 in the Nemesis duology, and I liked it more than the first one, so those are my best sequels of the year. New release you haven't read yet but want to. I pre-ordered Cinderella is Dead, and that's waiting on my shelf for me to read it. I just picked it up this week, so that's a very new release I can't wait to read. Most anticipated release for the second half of the year, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by Victoria Schwab. I'm a diehard Schwab fan. What do they call us? Schwablins. Isn't that adorable? Let's see, other books. I mean, I already read Beyond the Ruby Veil by Mara Fitzgerald, which I loved. I had an arc of it, but it doesn't release until the end of the year, so you all get to look forward to that. Just chaos lesbian, lots of murder, lots of blood, doing all of the right things for the very worst reasons, which is like a great flip of the hero doing all the wrong things for all the right reasons, you know? I enjoyed that. Other books, oh, Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. That shit looks so good. I've tried so hard to get an arc, but it's just not happening, and you know, it's fine. I admire that Aiden Thomas is doing so much to get arcs into the hands of On Voices reviewers, so I can't really be upset about that. I am white, a woman, and cis, so definitely not On Voices. Any other anticipated? Oh, Lane Fargo's next book, They Never Learn. Lane Fargo wrote Temper, which I only gave 3 stars, but I liked the concept, and she writes thrillers with queer characters, and I love that. So this book is about, I think, 2 lesbians who are killing dudes that do bad things. That's the gist I've gotten, and that shit sounds so good. We love accountability. Wait, I'm not saying you should murder people. The Fell of Dark is another book. Oh wait, this is actually the last question. It's a recent release that I want to read. I did hear some questionable things about, like, this has that like typical vampire trope where the really old vampires are like lusting after the young adult character, which is super weird in my book, but if I'm prepared for it, it doesn't bother me as much. It doesn't bother me as much as in fantasy settings, and I really have no explanation for that. Like, it's super weird and hella creepy, but if I know about it ahead of time, I can prepare myself for it and enjoy the book despite that. So I'm glad I have that heads up. Fell of Dark is a young adult vampire book with male romance, and I think it's like a play on the chosen one trope, and it's about this boy in a small town that's like overrun with vampires, and he's like sick of it. You know what's funny is, like, I just said that about the Fell of Dark, and then I just realized that A Blade So Black is kind of doing that with Alice and this trainer guy from Wonderland. He's immortal and old, and she clearly has a thing for him, and I don't know where it's going, like if that's gonna be a thing, but you know, it's not bothering me at this point. So, oh, The Friend Scheme by Cale Dietrich, which is a thriller romance, young adult, and I think this is like a mob son romance, mafia romance. That's what they call them. Oh wait, I forgot about Darius the Great Deserves Better by Adib Khorram. Okay, Darius the Great is not okay. It's a really good book. I gave it 4 stars, but honestly, I think about it so much that it probably deserved 5 stars, and maybe I'll reread it before this next one comes out. But I just love Darius so much, and I can't wait to read about him more, and I hope he's happier now. We also have, this is like just turning to an anticipated reads video. We also have Ironheart by Nina Varela, which is the sequel to Crier's War by Nina Varela. I gave Crier's War 4 stars. I liked it, and I can't wait to see where the sequel goes. Wait, there's one more. The Space Between Worlds by Mckay Johnson, which is an adult sci-fi novel that's queer, and that's all I know about it. I think there's a girl who can travel between dimensions, and it's like futuristic sci-fi, which is specifically what I was looking for when I found this book. I wanted to read queer adult sci-fi that was like futuristic, not like space opera, and that fits the bill. So, okay, on to the next question. That was a lot. Biggest disappointment. Oh, let's go to the low star ratings. Oh, well, I did really hate Sex Positive by Kelly Neff, but I randomly picked up the ARC, so I can't really call it a disappointment because my expectations were not super high. If you want to see me like rant about that book, I'll link it up above. All right, we're gonna go with Codename Verity. I haven't even done a wrap up for this yet because I just read it in July. I gave it 2 stars. I did not like it. I read it for a class in the historical section. I don't usually like historical, but I was looking forward to it because so many people have said so many good things. And it just like reinforced all of the reasons I don't read historical fiction, especially historical fiction set in a war. I hate that shit. I'm just not gonna do it anymore. I don't care for it. It's just not gonna happen. If you weren't aware, Codename Verity follows 2 women in World War II. One is a pilot, one is a code breaker. After their plane crashes in Nazi-occupied France, one of them is taken prisoner. One of them is able to reach the resistance, and you kind of follow two parts. So the first part is from the prisoner's perspective, where she's writing down her entire story and giving the Nazis all this information, fessing up basically because she's been tortured. And the second half of the book follows the other character as they're trying to break this other girl out of this facility or whatever. So the biggest problems I had with this are, I mean, I'm still going to do this in a wrap up, but whatever. It didn't make any sense for the perspectives to be the way they were, because the character in prison was writing from the perspective of her friend under the guise of like making herself distant from the information that she was giving up. I just didn't think it made sense. She was describing things that she wouldn't have known, and like, I don't know, I just didn't understand why you would write from that perspective, and it didn't make sense to me. And then in the second part, the girl is just writing all this down in a journal, even though it's sensitive information, and she literally says that, she's like, I don't know why I'm writing this down, this is sensitive information and could do a lot of damage in the wrong hands. And then she just keeps fucking writing. She puts like code names and shit in there, and I'm like, what are you doing? It just didn't make sense. Okay, and then there was like this thing at the end, and it was foreshadowed in the whole book, but for some reason I didn't see it coming, probably because I wasn't enjoying the book at all. But then like it happened, and I was so furious, and I just like had to get up and go make myself a snack to feel better. I was just so pissed. So 2 stars, did not enjoy. Huge disappointment for sure. Okay, another disappointment. after I just ranted about that, was The Library of the Unwritten by A.J. Hackwith. And I didn't hate this book, but my expectations were really high because the premise was so cool. It's like a library in hell, and one of the books comes to life and escapes and they have to track it down. But I thought it was really boring, and there was like way too much world building trying to happen because they traveled through different worlds in hell, and it was like every time we got somewhere, like new world building had to happen. It's just a lot. I only gave it 2.5 stars. I think those are like all my big disappointments. Truth Witch I gave 3 stars. My expectations were higher, but it was just okay. Next question. Biggest surprise? I mean, all of the contemporary I've been reading was a huge surprise. So I'm gonna go with This Is What It Feels Like by Rebecca Barrow. I only read this because of a readathon, and I probably wouldn't have picked it up otherwise, so that was a huge surprise. I wasn't expecting to love it, but I gave it 5 stars. And it's just a contemporary about 3 teenage girls. It's about friendship and music and forgiveness and healing, and it was just some good shit, like, and I wasn't expecting it. Favorite new author, debut, or new to you? I guess I have to go with Jason Reynolds because I read 2 of his books this month or last month, this and last month, whatever. And they were both 5 stars, and I had never read his books before now, so now I have to read more by him. I'm sure I'll love it. I really like the way he writes his main characters. They're so relatable. He's able to give characters a lot of personality in a little bit of time, and that's what I really need out of contemporary. It's not like the world building in contemporary is gonna blow my mind, you know? Newest fictional crush? I don't do a lot of fictional crushes. Also, I read a lot of YA, so when I find that I'm loving a young adult character, it's like I don't get crushes on them, I just like adopt them in my head. Let's see if there are any adult books that okay, so maybe Dara from City of Brass. He sounds pretty hot, and he's got that like mysterious thing going on. Oh, Noemi Taboyada from Mexican Gothic. Love her. I guess that's it. I don't know, I'm just not like big on fictional crushes, and most of like the fictional crushes I've ever had have been like long standing, so I need to like reread books before I get super attached to characters. Newest favorite character? God damn it. Probably Nikki from The Extraordinaries. The poor boy is so awkward. I tend to get to like characters more, or get more attached to characters in fantasy books, and I haven't read a lot lately, so no one's coming to mind. I did really love Danny and Sovereign by April Daniels, and I mean, my fictional crushes, clearly. I did really like Ali from City of Brass, not in like a fictional crush way, but I liked him as a character. And then April, I think her name was April. Yeah, April May from An Absolutely Remarkable Thing, which I haven't picked up the sequel yet. It didn't really occur to me that it was coming out so quickly. That's by Hank Green. I know she was meant to be like kind of an unlikable character, but I did like her. She's not a great friend, but I liked her as a character. That's allowed, right? Okay, next. Book that made you cry. I did cry during Felix Ever After, like a happy, emotional cry. Ooh, I cried during The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and it's like everybody said I was gonna cry. Everyone told me that book was sad, but I still fucking cried. I knew it was coming, and it still happened. I think that's it. That's all the crying I've done. I usually, I'm kind of a crier. I have a lot of emotions, you know? So it's not rare that I cry during a book. Book that made you happy? Oh my god, so many books made me happy. Felix Ever After made me happy. Like I said, that was like a happy cry. The Extraordinaries made me happy. And I mentioned this in my wrap-up, but Nikki has ADHD, and that rep was amazing. So it made me really happy to see that. Actually, I'm scrolling through my list, and The Scorpio Races by Maggie Stiefvater is the first book that I read this year, and I think it did make me cry. And it wasn't even over people. It was over, here's the thing. The Scorpio Races is clearly for horse girls, okay? And I wasn't a horse girl. And it's about these magical seahorses, like actual horses that come out of the ocean, not like the creature seahorse. But damn, when those animals get hurt, that shit killed me. I was so sad. Anyways, if you get upset by animal death, don't read that book. But I guess it wasn't even the animals getting hurt. It was all of the people in the book being really upset when the animals got hurt. I get, the empathy just gets me. Most beautiful book you bought so far this year or received? Felix Ever After. That cover is gorgeous. I'm really bad at updating my Bookstagram, but Felix Ever After made it. The first one, the only picture I posted in 4 months because the book was so pretty. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? Oh my god, don't even get me started. I literally can't even say. My TBR is fucking disaster. I forgot I could swear on my own channel for a second there. I obviously want to finish Furyborn. I want to read book 2 in the David Bad trilogy, which is Kingdom of Copper. Yes, Kingdom of Copper. I really want to read, what is the name of that book that's like these kids in college and there's like Shakespeare and murder? What is it called? God damn it. I'm just gonna, let's see what happens. I'm gonna Google Dark Academia Shakespeare murder book. If We Were Villains. It's the third result. Okay, so I really want to read If We Were Villains because I'm in the mood for like an adult book. Now that I've been reading young adult for 2 months now, like I need a break. What else? I mean, there are so many. And everything sounds so good. There's some books I've been wanting to reread. Still have a bunch of books out from the library, so hopefully soon I'll be reading. I just forgotten every name of every book now. It's by Casey Callender and it's adult fantasy. Something Conquered. Queen of the Conquered. Damn. So hopefully I'll read that soon. I also have Goddess or Empire of Forever. Goddess of Empire by Max Gladstone. I only remember author names apparently. That's out from the library. It's space opera and queer, and I think the villain is a queer woman and I'm down for that. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking. Apparently I'm just out of what are words right now? I'm out of brain power. So I need to just cut this off before it gets even more embarrassing. So I have no one to tag because I wasn't planning on doing this video. Please let me know like what books you're excited about for the rest of the year, since I've apparently forgotten every book that's on my TBR right now. Oh my god, there's a stack of books behind me. Well, I should read all of those. If you like this video, hit like. If you want to see more, subscribe. I post book-related videos every Wednesday. If you want to keep talking, you can find me on Twitter or Instagram at Kelsey Reads. I'm the same over there. So I'm also on Goodreads at Kelsey Lynn Reads. Otherwise, I'll see you next week.